All right, so it's March 30th, 2023. The bank headlines are coming back, so I had to bring back the Swiss passport and money. But look at this, man. I just noticed this money was issued the day after SVB started. My goodness, but we have a lot to talk about. I have a lot of bank updates and what happened today, as well as how important tomorrow is. But I want to start off with another bank that is possibly in trouble, and that bank is MCB, Metropolitan Bank. That's the ticker MCB. And why it's in trouble now is one, it dropped 30% today. It was based off of a short report. I thought it was based off the filing and the CEO like resigning. I got that news wrong, but it was simply the short report. But now what people are saying about this company is they were heavily involved in crypto. They just announced that they are going to get out of crypto. They announced that at the beginning of the month, but before that, people were saying they were heavily involved. And again, the whole bonds and the everything with held to maturity securities, apparently they are part of it, but it seems like the bigger factor has to do with the crypto. And now why this is so key is because all day today, the last week, it has been about bank healing. So this was the first bank in the last couple of weeks where we actually saw like a 30%, 15% move, and it got a little volatile. And even now this morning, we woke up and the narrative going around, or that was going around, it's very interesting to see how it played out by the end of the day. It was that the banks, or this bank run, we have possibly seen the worst of it. Now, what's interesting, that headline also came out at the same time, or again, this was all today. Bank stocks were up, they finished lower, but there was even another headline by Barclays, and they were saying that the round two of the bank run is about to begin or is getting ready. They even said, even Schwab, they were down, I think, 4%. They were down before any of the other banks. It was like Schwab and MCB today, but then Schwab was down off a downgrade by Morgan Stanley, and they said that outflows are going faster than they even expected. So all of this kind of started hitting. MCB stood out, related to crypto, like Silvergate, like Signature. Again, that's what brought Signature under, but it's been quiet. This thing's moving. I did make a play on it. I ended up grabbing the June puts. I only put like $700 into it. They went up 100%, so I'm probably going to trim half soon and just ride it out, but I thought it was worth the risk to reward again, just if anything happens. So we'll see where that goes. But now there was one more big piece of bank news, and it was Biden. He said, or there was reports of a plan that he is already getting ready to roll back some of the banking legislation to make it where those banks that were 150 billion to 250 billion, where they have to be monitored more closely and abide by certain standards. And some people actually even got mad at that because they're saying, wait a minute, you already are ready to roll back and change laws, and we haven't even finished the Fed review of SVB, nor have they released it. So it was pretty interesting, and that's what we got. And like I'm saying, just how the bank stocks traded today. The words of today were good. People were speaking highly. You know, it seemed like people were calm, and fear has been dissipating, probably because the S&P and the NASDAQ went up, but the bank stocks still are kind of a little bit shaky. And then now, after a couple of banks getting, some bigger sell-offs like Schwab and now MCB, it's getting kind of interesting, but we're also seeing how they're able to buy some time. But now we have a big event tomorrow, and that is going to be the PCE. So we're not just talking all about banks. You throw all the money away now. Let's see what happens tomorrow. It is going to be a big event. It is coming out 1 hour before the bell, so 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and the headline number is expected to come in at 5.1, and the core number is expected to come in at 4.7. So if you're not aware, PCE, this is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge. Is there a lot of volatility priced into this? Yes. Where does it become non-important is that we're going to get a CPI and 4 other sets of data until we actually get into the Fed. So here was the last PCE. It was on February 24th, I believe. And that one came in, I think it was like 0.4% hotter. And when I show you the charts, you'll see why that was important. But it was a day, it gapped down. We went up a little bit. You just didn't close at the lows, but it was pretty active. So coming into tomorrow, just given in the inflation scenario and now the bank crisis scenario, this is what we're talking about, because if people aren't going to be worried about banks and are really going to calm down, then they're going to be worried about inflation. So if tomorrow's inflation data and all of the inflation data, if it's good or bad, that is really going to drive sentiment. So if it comes in hotter tomorrow, above 5.1 headline, 4.7 on core, anything higher and hotter, that is not going to be good, because now people are going to be worrying about inflation while we are still in the middle of this bank crisis and all of that. We even did get some Fed speakers, even Kashkari today said they don't know when. Actually, they all pretty much said the same thing. They all said, we don't really know. They're aware of the banking crisis. I think Barkin tried to blame Credit Suisse instead of SVB, but they all kind of sounded like they wanted to raise rates. But in general, though, they were saying they don't know when the next shoe is going to drop. So if inflation data comes in hot and having to deal with that, people aren't going to like that. But now if PCE comes in lower, that could actually be really good. You know, it could really calm things down. You're now bouncing NASDAQ in the bull market. If PCE comes in lower, I mean, that could really get some people excited. Now, what do I think? I think it's going to come in slightly hotter. If it goes in higher than 0.4 now, that's where it's bad. But even if it comes in slightly hotter, I don't think the market's going to like it. And this is what I was saying with the charts, because last time you could see here, when that chart is going down, everybody was getting happy. This is where they were saying, remember, we were talking about it on these videos, you know, Powell, 3 months in a row, you got to respond to inflation coming down. So if we start to build up 2-3 months in a row, month over month of this coming back up, that won't be good. And if we do another hot month after an already 0.4 hot month, that's not going to be good. So even if it's small, taken as a whole, it won't be good. But then again, the market feels a certain way, but I think it's probably going to come in slightly hotter. And the hotter it is, the more likely you are going to have a reaction, or I guess the bigger the margin of either beat or miss. But that's why I'm feeling for it, and we're going to see how the trend really goes from here. And all that means is the shape of the chart. Again, is inflation on the way back up, or is it working its way back down? I think that is going to impact a lot of emotions for tomorrow and just in everything. But if you really want to boil it down to it, the simple way to look at tomorrow, why it's so important, and again, all of the data sets, is simply, should we be worried about inflation? Should we be worried about the banking crisis? Or should we be worried about both of them at the same time? Or now can we say, hey, maybe we've dealt with the worst of both of them? So that's a lot of possibilities, and that is going to fuel into the market. It's going to be wild tomorrow. I mean, thankfully, there will be a lot of follow-up events, and then we just see whatever happens with any of the bank stocks. So that was pretty much it. I mean, I did make a couple of plays today. I closed out of the HD. I flipped that real small yesterday. I took a short of 25 shares on NVIDIA. Lord, protect me. I closed out of Rita. I closed the covered calls, and that was like $5,000, $5,500 on the gross. But since the covered call play initially, that took off an additional like $1,500. So I walked away with like $4,000 net, but not bad at all. Again, we've been holding it out for about 3 weeks. So figured it was time. Didn't want it to break. And even from the earlier level, we gained like an extra $1,000 on it. So I said, let's go. And again, I'm trying to get to neutral, but I do keep making these plays. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully you see them there live. I hope we see you there. But in general, still holding a couple of things and waiting, ideally trying to make the plays on a much more tighter frame, and then trying to get to neutral until we could confirm over these next couple of weeks, and still getting yield on the cash, baby. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll see you in the morning. God bless you all. Get ready for Friday. I hope you bring a little bit of hype to it. Let's have some fun. You with me? Huh? You with me? No? Okay. I don't know. I'm just, and then I tell you, see, you guys see this, man? I'm okay. This just got really awkward. I don't want to. I was just checking myself out, man. I was trying to explain the skinny fat to y'all. Y'all ain't feel me, man. This is weird now. I don't know if I could post it. I'm going to go.